Welcome back to New Rockstars. This is the big question, the show that gives you too much information about why you should never trust a different version of yourself from a different reality, because who knows what their real intentions might be. I would never trust me. No. I'm just too irresponsible.
I don't trust myself in this reality.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying, Brandon. My name is MT, and I'm here today with the off-screen producer, Brandon. What's going on, Brandon?
Hello, MT. Not much going on. I'm so excited to dive into Big Question with you again this week. I can't believe I'm back again. I'm being on screen too much. They're gonna take away my title.
Hey, there's no such thing as too much Brandon, okay?
Tell that to my wife, please.
Okay, Brandon, hit me with that big question, all right?
All right, let's do it, MT. Okay, so at the end of Loki, we're finally introduced to He Who Remains.
Right.
And it's been confirmed 100% that it's a version of Kang the Conqueror, right? I just have so many questions about this, and it looks like he's going to be the next big bad in the MCU, right? He's going to be in tons of properties. He's going to be this guy we fight at the end. So that got us thinking about this week's big question, just how powerful is Kang? Like, where does he fit in amongst all these powerful bad guys and people from the comics?
Well, I think it's time to put some respect on Kang's name.
Let's do it. Yes, please.
To get an understanding of just how powerful Kang is, we're going to look at some of his various exploits in the comics, because there have been many variants of Kang that have appeared in the Marvel comics over the years, such as, my boy rama-tut, Egyptian god, even though it's cultural appropriation. Not nice, Kang.
That's classic. That's classic.
Classic white people
classic
shit.
White people shit. Like,
you got me.
We didn't get a chance to conquer back then. Let's go back and fix it. You know what I mean?
Oh my god. Then we have Immortus, of course, and then we have Mr. Griffin, and your boy, the strongest version of Kang, Kangaroo the Conqueror. Let's not forget him.
Kangaroo the Conqueror?
Oh yes, he's literally the strongest version. He'll kick everybody's ass. I hope we see that in the MCU. Because if we have the Thanos copter, why not?
Why not?
And of course, Iron Lad, just to name a few. And I put out a video last week explaining some of these variants and how they could appear in upcoming MCU titles. So please check that out after you watch this, of course, because we talking about how powerful Kang is, and you don't want to miss out, okay? Jeez. But it's also important to remember that with any character that appears in the comics over the decades, powers and abilities tend to vary wildly depending on who's writing the story and what is needed for the narrative arc. And also, villains tend to lose in the end because, it's comic books and heroes have the ultimate plot armor.
Yeah,
so
they're always making the villains lose. Like, come on, guys, let's let a villain.
I know, like, what the heck's up with that? Like,
especially like old comics from like the 60s, it's always like,
oh yeah,
the villain just like, I forgot to turn my stove off at home.
Or my favorite is like freaking during the Thanos copter thing when he's like fighting Hellcat or whatever, he's just like, oops, I dropped the cube.
Yeah. I mean, there's
that drops the cube.
There's that like classic, this is the old Fantastic Four cartoon when Magneto's like, bah, that gun was made of wood.
What? That's why your power didn't work.
Okay, but let's talk Kang. Because one thing all the Kangs have in common is that they are generally normal human beings. Like, they don't possess any superpowers naturally, except for their genius level intellect, of course, because that's the greatest superpower of all. It's knowledge.
The more you know.
The more you know. The more you... Hey! Where are your kids? It's 7 o'clock. Where are your kids?
I don't know. I hope Jesus, I hope I don't have any kids.
Right? That'd be terrible. If someone was like, hey, where are your kids, MT? Like, you had kids. I'm like, I had no idea.
I'd be like, that's a variant. That's another reality. Get out of here.
There's a Maury show for like, are you the father? Like, there's several variants. I'm like, who is the father? But also, since Kangs come from the 31st century, they do have a longer lifespan in general, thanks to the advancements in medical technology. Because as technology advances, so does medicine, and people live longer. That's just how things go. And that's the basic advantage that every Kang comes equipped with, but they all use that genius level intellect to add a few special features. Because why wouldn't you?
Yeah, I mean, if I'm super smart, I'm going to find ways to exploit that to take over places.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, why wouldn't you? I mean, why not just, like, benefit the world,
Nope. My nature as a white male is to take over the world the best I can.
Oh, my God. Too real.
Too real. I'm going to get burned in the comments.
Oh God, hey man, you just speaking the truth, dog. I appreciate you, dog. And when it comes to nerdy shit like engineering and physics, especially in the realm of time travel, Kang's big brain makes him a huge threat. Like, he often uses some sort of fancy chair to travel through time, or sometimes even a freaking sphinx, like a whole sphinx thing from Egypt. He uses that to travel through time sometimes. But in the MCU, they will probably relate his time traveling abilities to the quantum realm, because that's where all that shit goes down.
I remember when we first saw like the Void in Loki MT. You were like so excited to see the Sphinx. Because like like rama-tut like travels through the Sphinx is like a time machine, right?
Exactly. And like when I saw that, I was like, yo, that's probably an old time machine.
That's crazy.
That one of the Kangs used like during the World War Kang. And like, you know, or maybe that's the time machine that He Who Remains used to use. Who knows? But yeah, because Kang can time travel, he has access to technology across all of time. This means that he can pull up whatever super weapon he may need to defeat whoever stands in his way, because like he has everything, like the whole time stream that he can just pluck technology from. So he's like, you know what would work? A death ray from the year 6000. I need that for this particular thing. So he just grabs it. It's really great. I would love that. For example, rama-tut, the Kang who took over ancient Egypt, had something called an ultra-diode gun. This weapon could drain the hero of their superpowers and take away a target's free will. And if you were paying attention to last week's big question, you already know that there's no free will anyway, so, you know, who cares?
There's no free will? Oh, no.
No.
Oh, no.
That was such a fun big question with me and Jess. If you haven't checked it out, please check it out.
Oh, boy.
We get it. We dive into MCU free will. It's really interesting.
It doesn't exist.
And as we saw with He Who Remains, Kang knows what happens across the timeline, so he can use this information to a tactical advantage. He can learn the history and the future of any foe he is going to face, and then use that information against them. Because, again, why wouldn't you? If you know what's going to happen in the future, then you can get some intel. Duh.
Yeah, if you were like, I could like go to when my boss was like a kid and getting picked on in school and be like, and find out what his weakness was, and then come back and be like, exactly. I know that you peed your pants in 4th grade.
Goo! I know you're allergic to peanut butter.
And so he's like, no. He's a scoop of peanut butter.
He's threatening with a scoop of peanut butter, like, you better give me a raise, bitch. Give me that raise.
Do you think there's ever been like a villain, like a major villain in any comic who had like a very simple allergy, and he was like, gee, you know, like it's just like the Joker being like, I hope no one finds out that I'm allergic to latex. Oh boy. Not surgical gloves. Like the Red Skull's got irritable bowel syndrome. He's just like, oh, not spicy foods.
And like he just kills anybody who finds out.
Right.
Yo, he know too much.
The waiter at P.F. Chang's just gets killed immediately.
You go to a Taco Bell, it's like, none of you guys are gonna make it. I'm so sorry.
This taco is too spicy. You are failing me.
It'd be hilarious if Red Skull had like a lactose intolerance, but like he just didn't want to admit it. He just kept on eating milk.
This ice cream is delicious.
I cannot stop.
I need to powder my nose. You don't have a nose. Just tell me what the bathroom is.
I wonder if he can even taste because he has no nose.
Oh, I mean, that's next week's big question. MT, don't get ahead of yourself.
Right.
Can the Red Skull taste?
Okay, so Loki and Sylvie weren't able to land a blow on him until the very end because he knew every move that they were going to make.
Right. He was always dodging out of the way because he's like, I already saw this.
If you're fighting in like an omniscient bad guy, like they're gonna have a one-up on you.
But that's also hard too, because like, you know, we've all played Dance Dance Revolution, and it's like, even though you know the song 50 times, it's still hard to get the moves right every time. It's tough.
True. Like, Kang must have like a really big brain if he can memorize like everything.
Got that photographic memory, dog.
Yo, Kang. He's the truth.
He sounded tough. He sounded tough. You're convincing me, MT.
Well, I'm glad. And most Kangs choose to wear a battle suit that gives them increased strength and endurance. And the Kang that prances around as Iron Lad even has his own Iron Man-esque suit that gives him the additional ability to fly and shoot energy blasts from his hands.
So that suit, the traditional suit that we see Kang wearing, like the green and purple with like the blue face, that's like a power suit.
Exactly. Like Kang doesn't actually have a blue face. Like the blue face comes from his suit that he puts on.
It doesn't look like a very powerful suit. It looks like a jumpsuit, but I guess it's strong. It's future technology, right?
Future!
You know, it was back in the day, so like they had like interesting ideas of what futuristic suits would look like.
In the 31st century, they're gonna wear very baggy clothes.
Yeah, very baggy, green and purple with some blue face. Like that's gonna be the style. That's what all the kids are gonna wear.
Fashion, baby.
Yo, honestly, this seems like I feel like this is Kanye's doing.
Hey, bro. You stop it, all right? You stop it, all right?
This is Kanye's influence on the world.
Yeah, he had those like big puffy suits, right? He wore those on like, SNL when he was bouncing
Kanye
around.
would 110% wear Kang's entire outfit.
What's the name of your clothing line? We don't know.
Do you think Kanye's a Kang? Could be.
Kanye?
Kanye? Oh, boy. Copyright.
Kanye confirmed. But okay, let's take a look at some of the foes Kang has faced in the comic books to get an idea of just how powerful the man is. And let's start off with Kang versus the Avengers, because Kang has faced the Avengers on multiple occasions in the Marvel comics. And usually the Avengers, of course, come out on top at the end because comics. But on one occasion, Kang was able to get them to surrender the entire planet.
Whoa.
The entire planet, Brandon.
Do they have the authority to do that? Did they take a vote? They surrendered the planet?
Yeah, I think they called every country like, hey, you good with us surrendering the entire planet? It's like, oh yeah, it's totally fine. Go for it.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
okay, I just wanted to check. All right.
I'm sure they had their reasons.
Because during the Kang Dynasty or Kang Wars comics run in 2001, Kang had his armies attack the planet in multiple occasions as part of his devious plan. And he even wiped out the entire population of Washington, D.C., which is kind of crazy.
That's a lot of people. I mean, some of them can go. Some of the politicians. I'll say it.
No, seriously, you all suck.
Am I right?
Actually,
Am I
don't
right?
say. I don't want to get arrested.
No, please take
one
that out.
deserves to die.
NSA, we're just joking around, NSA. No, and he was so successful in his scheme that the Avengers wound up signing the Declaration of Surrender, which is the exact opposite of what Benjamin Franklin, the boys, were doing back in the day. And in the end, Kang is betrayed by his son Marcus, because you can never trust a Marcus. I mean, Marcus. Yuck.
Yeah, I'm watching you, Marcus. I'm watching him.
I'm watching you, Marcus. So while he may be a great tactician, he got done in by one of his own family. So that's pretty damn cold.
That is cold. That's cold, brother. I mean, like, come
Yeah.
on. That's a very disappointing episode of Maury Povich, right? You are the father, and your son just betrayed you.
Yo, I think in that run, he actually betrays his father because he falls in love with Captain Marvel.
Oh.
So,
you know,
Carol Danvers. Hey, man, if it's Brie Larson, I would betray my father too.
I mean,
because I love Brie Larson.
Yeah. Sorry, Dad.
I'm sorry, Dad.
But let's get into Kang versus Captain America.
Okay.
Because during those very same Kang Wars, Kang actually goes one-on-one with the old man himself, the senior citizen, Captain America, Steve Rogers. I love whenever people fight Captain America, I'm like, wow, I can't believe you would fight an old man. I can't even believe it. So
a
rude.
war veteran. How could you?
Right? He served our country in World War II.
Hi there, young people. Nice day today.
So, you like kicking butts, do ya? Well, we'll show you, old man! There he is! Go get him!
But thanks to his battle suit, he's able to keep up with Captain America in combat. But Cap ultimately takes him down in the end, of course. Though nothing gets Cap madder than a tyrant bringing genocide to an entire planet.
Oh yeah, I bet Cap was like pissed off, right? Cap's got that fire inside.
Yeah, he's got
can't
that
replicate
American
that.
pride.
Got that American pride. Justice and liberty, baby.
Let's take down America. Boom, boom, boom,
Oh,
boom,
yeah.
boom. And of course, we got a showdown that a lot of people on the internet have come across. Now that Kang is popular, Kang versus Thanos. Because we all know how powerful the man Thanos is. Like, this man fought all the Avengers
He's a
multiple
Titan,
times
baby. He's
by
a
himself.
Titan.
He's a Titan. He's the Mad Titan. He's crazy. He'll kill you. The Mad Titan did manage to beat the Avengers and wipe out half of all life in the universe. Though he who remains showed us that Kang merely allowed him to do that. But what would happen if they went toe-to-toe, Brandon? What would happen? Because in a recent comic run called Avengers Mech Strike, a young Thanos, without the Infinity Gauntlet, teams up with the Avengers to take on Kang, and, well, it doesn't go great for the giant purple people defeater, because Kang unleashed the power of time onto Thanos and literally, like, pushes him through his entire lifespan in, like, 1 second. Like, someone call M. Night Shyamalan because your boy looking old.
Interesting. So it's like a younger, he beat a younger Thanos who doesn't have the Infinity Gauntlet, but it's still pretty strong.
You know, Thanos without the Infinity Gauntlet is still very, very strong.
Yeah,
he does not need the Infinity Gauntlet to beat your ass.
So it seems like Thanos is like your brute force villain. He's smart, but he's mainly brute force. That's how he gets things done. But I'm seeing a pattern here that Kang is very smart. He's very tactical, and he uses like his knowledge of time to his advantage. Okay.
Moving on, we have Kang versus the Planet Eater, Galactus.
Oh,
like, good God. What a matchup. Because while Kang hasn't exactly fought Galactus directly in the comics, there was a run in the Marvel Exiles where Kang acquired the power of a dead Galactus from another reality and then altered his desire for eating planets into a hunger for devouring entire realities. Because Galactus wasn't hungry enough. You know, it's why not? Eat realities. And thus we got the Time Eater, because if you can't beat them while they're alive, you know, just wait till they're dead and then use their body as a weapon. You know, pretty smart move, Kang.
That is smart. I mean, because like no one can really beat Galactus. I mean, Galactus is pretty tough. if you're gonna fight him head on. But if you just wait till he dies.
Miss Keisha. Oh my god, she dead.
Just wait till he dies and just use his body. Just like the collector said. Just like the collector said to Groot. He's like, hey, can I have your body at the time of your death? Because, like, you're using it now. But, like, yeah, I'll just take it when you're gone.
Magnificent.
Magnificent. And now let's talk Kang versus Ultron, because this one is a little unfair to our boy Kang.
What the language?
MT.
No, what did you say, dude? What the
language?
But in a 1984 issue during the Secret Wars run, Dr. Doom is a little pissed off at Kang and orders Ultron to kill him. And he does so pretty swiftly. Like, you would think that Kang would have seen this coming, but this was the Secret Wars, so everything was a little bit screwy.
Maybe this was like the dumbest Kang out there.
Farewell.
The dumbest version of Kang.
May you rest in peace.
Still pretty smart, but dumb.
Ding dang.
Ding dang.
Ding dang, the dumb Kang. Okay, though to be fair, Dr. Doom has also wondered if he himself is a Kang and doesn't really know it. So that's some weird, like, mind-bending stuff. Like, am I a Kang? Are you a Kang? Like, who is a Kang? Maybe we're all Kang.
Put me on Maury Povich.
Case of 1-year-old Aaliyah, Bishop.
You are a Kang.
Exactly. We need a Kang test. You know,
Kang
we got
test.
with a birth test.
23andMe for Kangs.
But since Kang is the master of time travel, he can't be sure that he isn't Kang from a different time. So maybe Kang ordered Ultron to kill himself during the Secret Wars. Checkmate.
Oh, okay.
Checkmate.
So Kang's really up on it. Yeah, because Dr. Doom, the idea that, like, you're a Kang who, like, came back in time but maybe forgot. Or, like, you've tricked yourself into not knowing you're a Kang. Because, like, Dr. Doom's related to Kang, right?
Yeah, so Dr. Doom is potentially an ancestor to Kang the Conqueror.
Oh, okay.
You're not my dad!
Who knows? Like, maybe it could be Kang being an ancestor to himself. But I personally like to think that Dr. Doom and Nathaniel Richards kissed at one point.
Oh.
And they made babies. Just kidding. That's not true.
There's a reality where that happens. Infinite realities, MT.
Yes, there's a reality where me and Dr. Doom kiss. And it's very passionate.
You know, he's got that tight metal body.
I hope my gay MT variant is living the best life. I hope he's leading the Pride Parade in 2022.
I hope so.
Honestly.
I hope so.
But let's compare Kang to other MCU villains now, because you know, we got Kang coming up, and he's already gone toe to toe with, you know, 2 MCU villains already with Loki and Sylvie. Yo, we need to see Jonathan Majors' contract, because what does that look like?
Dude, I hope it.
Does
he get paid for each Kang?
Right? Like how many appearances do they have him signed up for? Because we're getting so many Kangs coming up. So like hopefully it's about 100. Hopefully we get 100 Jonathan Major appearances. I'm all about it. But yes, let's compare some Kang to other MCU villains. Because how would Kang compare to other powerful villains we've seen in the MCU already? Because we can take a look at the Celestial Ego for one example. Because Ego was an immensely powerful being with a plan to reshape the universe how he saw fit. He just decided, hey, the universe doesn't have enough me in it, so let's just make it all me. Why not? However, he had spent a fair amount of his recent existence trying to make a celestial offspring to power his spores. So while Kang may not be able to beat a celestial hand to hand, he may be able to outsmart them, or at least travel to a point when they are the most vulnerable and then defeat them with some futuristic weapon designed for killing celestials.
Yeah, like when Ego was just pulling himself together or into a brain, right? Kang could just show up and, like, squash him or something like that.
Yeah, it's like, yeah, you know what? Just gonna end this process. You've been terminated.
Plus, like, as you pointed out, like, Kang has like the knowledge of time and can move back and forth. So, you know, someone like Ego, who's been alive for a long time and has time to think about it and is patient and can wait, he still is kind of living in the moment, right? Because he doesn't know what the future holds. He has his plan and he's eager to get it done. He's waited millennia to get it done. So he's in a rush, but like Kang is just like, I can wait till the perfect moment. And if I miss the moment, I can go back to it.
Exactly.
And get ya. And like, you know, Ego got defeated by the Guardians of the Galaxy. What a bunch of a-holes, right? So, you know.
What a bunch of a-holes.
He's not infallible. Yes, he's a celestial, but he was like kind of a spare celestial, like off doing his own thing.
I'm also wondering, with Kang, like, does Kang is already more powerful than the Celestials? Like, I have this feeling that Kang just already just by his nature, by being outside of reality, by being outside of the multiverse, is already stronger than everybody within the universe. So that includes Celestials and like Asgardian gods, as we see. So like, who knows? I think that maybe Kang could maybe go hand to hand with him, and maybe just like take his powers away.
Yeah, I guess we'll have to see. They haven't really told us, because that's the one thing the Celestials have, is they exist beyond universe endings, right? Like they...
Yeah, I think that's exactly what happened. They created by the first ever, like, eternity.
Right.
And he created the Celestials and the Aspirants, and then they went on their war. So, like, yeah, I think they do survive.
This is deep.
I'm not sure.
I'm getting that sinking feeling in my stomach. Can we go back to talking about just, like, catastrophes that end the world? Okay, so what about like a god? Like, Hela? How does Kang... like match up to a god?
I would say same goes for a god like Hela, because we've already seen Kang outmaneuver a host of variants in one particular god of mischief in season 1 of Loki.
Oh yeah, well I guess he outsmarted every Loki ever, right? Every variant of Loki outsmarted. But like Hela was like a pretty strong goddess.
Oh yeah, very very strong.
But she was also able to be contained, right? Like Odin kept her locked away. So in theory, like Kang could find a way to lock her away, or like go to a point in time when they developed a god gun that could shoot gods, and just yank that out and be like, boom, gotcha, caught you slipping, gotcha.
Caught you slipping, Hela. And Kang doesn't always need to defeat his foes, because sometimes his plans are even more strategic, because at one point in the comics, he even attempts to capture and wed the celestial Madonna in order to copulate and produce some powerful offspring to rule the universe. Like, you know, like ego style. Sort of.
Women love it when you just like capture them and marry them.
Oh, so it's the best thing, you know, in the world. It's like not having the will to make your own decisions. Women dig it.
They love
That's not true. Don't listen to, like, I don't want to give incels any ideas. Like, hey, you're right. Not the most romantic pitch you would try on a woman. And it doesn't work out for Kang in the end, as the Avengers foil his plan to help with Rama-tut. But again, sometimes you're your own worst enemy.
What is up with Kangs turning against Kangs constantly?
It is a very common thing in the comics, especially with Immortus, who like is constantly trying to foil his other Kangs.
Well, and they kind of set it up in Loki, because He Who Remains is like, you know, we're always fighting each other. Every Kang wants to be the leader, so it's like you can't trust any Kangs.
I think that's why he finds, you know, these Lokis working together so intriguing.
Right, because he can't work together with any of his Kangs. Oh. What about, we got the Eternals coming up, right?
Right.
Is Kang stronger than an Eternal? I mean, maybe he is. It sounds like he's smarter.
I mean, he definitely would know a lot more than the Eternal, which is kind of weird considering that the Eternals have been around for so long.
Right.
So, like, to have someone that is, like, has a one-up on you because you're going through time the long way around is very interesting.
Yeah, they're going the slow way. Kang's just jumping around, doing it the fast way. He's speed reading time.
Yes, and so like there's a big chance that we will see a Rama-tut Kang in the Eternals film, because like that film goes throughout the centuries throughout humanity's history. So it's possible that Rama-tut will face off against the Eternals in ancient Egypt, but we will have to wait and see. But to wrap everything up here, as we continue to head into the next phase of the MCU, Kang is very much shaping up to be a powerful adversary in the MCU that we will be seeing very soon. And there won't just be one big bad this time like there was with Thanos. And our heroes are probably going to be facing multiple Kangs from different realities, and each of them hell-bent on conquering it all. So I can't wait for it.
Oh, man.
This is a really interesting...
Yeah, it sounds super exciting. I really like it. And this is a great level up on storytelling. You know, we had one big bad, and now we've got so many of the same big bads.
Yes.
It's gonna be crazy.
It makes me so happy that the multiverse is now a popular thing that everyone can grasp.
Yeah.
Everyone understands the concept because of Loki. Loki was literally multiverse 101, variance 101. What a very smart, Kevin Feige made this show specifically to prepare everyone
very smart
for what's coming next in phase 4. So
Kangy Feige, he taught us all about it.
Kangy Feige, he's a variant, he knows. He knows the sacred timeline. But a great way for you and any of your variants to support New Rockstars is by checking out our merch at newrockstarsmerch.com. We got a limited supply of Loki merch left, including a shirt featuring Mobius finally getting that jet ski ride he so desperately deserved in season 1 of Loki that we never got. Shame on you, everyone.
We want to see him on the jet ski. Give him a jet ski.
We need the jet ski. Season 2 better start with the jet ski. I don't want anything else. Just give me 50 minutes of Mobius on a jet ski for episode 1. I'm just saying that. But we also have some exclusive Black Widow inspired merch, like this shirt with all the Black Widows in little
Little nesting dolls.
I love it. It's so cute. I love it very much.
So cute. So deadly.
It's a great way to support the channel and all the awesome content we pump out on the Sacred Timeline. So please head on over and check out all of our merch options over at newrockstarsmerch.com. And before we dive into our bite-sized questions next, some words from the folks that help bring Big Question and all of our amazing programs to you. People like Imperfect Foods. It's a busy time of year, so it's okay that you're not perfect. And guess what? Neither is food. And that's where Imperfect Food comes in. Imperfect Foods is a grocery delivery service that has created an entire line of sustainable groceries like pantry staples that taste delicious. Embrace imperfection and get your groceries delivered weekly with Imperfect Foods. All you have to do is sign up, personalize your weekly order, and then shop online each week and get sustainable groceries that help you invest in a better food system, all delivered to your front door. And in 2019, 35% of the food supply went unsold or uneaten in the US. Imperfect Foods is working to turn this around by sourcing foods that would otherwise fall through the cracks of our food system. To reduce waste, Imperfect Foods is the first grocery delivery company that makes it easy to return your packaging to them after every order. And right now, Imperfect Foods is offering our audience 20% off your first 4 orders when you go to imperfectfoods.com and use promo code Big Question. Again, that's 20% off your first 4 orders. That's up to an $80 value at imperfectfoods.com using promo code Big Question. And we also want to thank Upstart for sponsoring this video, because so many Americans experience financial hardship in the last year, and Upstart can help you regain your footing and get things back on track. Because Upstart is a fast and easy way to pay off your debt with a personal loan, all online. So whether it's paying off credit cards, consolidating high interest debt, or funding personal expenses, over 500,000 people have used Upstart to get one fixed monthly payment. Upstart knows that you are more than just your credit score and is expanding access to affordable credit. Because unlike other lenders, Upstart considers your income and current employment to find you a smarter rate. With a 5-minute online rate check, you can see your rate upfront for loans between $1,000 to $50,000, and you can receive funds as fast as 1 business day after accepting your loan. So find out how Upstart can lower your monthly payments today when you go to upstart.com/bigquestion. That is upstart.com/bigquestion. And don't forget to use our URL to let us know that we sent you. And loan amounts will be determined based on your credit, income, and certain other information provided on your loan application. Go to upstart.com/bigquestion today and get your loan shit figured out. Get your fucking money, okay? All right, it is time for our bite-sized questions of the day, Brendan. You ready?
Oh, I'm ready, MT. I got some good answers for you.
Okay, I got a question for you, Brendan. The first question of the day is, what is the strangest real-world cameo in comics?
Oh, buddy, this is a good question. I mean, over the years, there have been plenty of strange real-world cameos in comic books, from like actors and athletes to musicians and historical figures. I went through a ton. There's like so many. Look these up because they're hilarious and weird. But these are some of my favorites that I found. Okay. In the 1970s, Superman boxed Muhammad Ali, which seems completely unfair. It seems completely unfair, right?
I mean, I'm not from the 70s, but like that's an iconic comic I've seen like
it's like
around
the
internet.
The cover's like Superman versus Muhammad Ali.
Yeah.
Spoiler alert: Muhammad Ali wins. I don't know how.
Oh. I mean, it's the kryptonite fist, man.
Yeah. I think some bookies paid Superman to take a dive or something like that. Soups, you gotta go down in the 4th round, okay? Otherwise, I'm gonna break Lois's legs. This is another good one. Eminem, the rapper, teamed up with the Punisher. And they weren't just out there spitting fire lyrics. I mean, the cover has Eminem with like a gun, like a Uzi. It's crazy. Eminem,
I guess that would make sense.
Yeah, he like loves comics. He's made a lot of references to it, but it's so funny. This one I thought was really funny. In Ultimates #4 from 2002, you know, Mark Millar's like Ultimates run, great stuff, love it. Really inspired the MCU a lot. But it's revealed that Hulk's, you know, main lady Betty Ross, she's like on a date with Freddie Prinze Jr. And it like pisses off the Hulk, and the panel is like the Hulk screaming like Freddie Prinze Jr. And like they asked Freddie Prinze Jr. about it in like 2014, and he had like a funny. He said like, you know, bring it on Hulk or whatever. But it's just funny, like what a weird thing. Also a weird fact about Freddie Prinze Jr. He was a writer for the WWE, like in the late 2000s, like in the 2010s or something like that. Yeah, he likes wrestling. He was a writer. Like very weird. Freddie Prinze Jr. It's just funny, like the whole being like Freddie Prinze Jr.
Wait, was this like after like the Scooby-Doo movie? Was this like around that time?
Yeah, I mean, this was 2002. He was really popular at the time.
Dole, Betty Ross for Dole.
They just went on a date. I mean, we don't know what happened. Okay. The Fantastic Four met the Beatles. I mean, that's very fun, right?
I mean, hey, if you're gonna be a time traveling family, why not?
Yeah.
The Beatles.
There's of course presidents have shown up in the comics a lot. Obama was in a Spider-Man comic. George Bush, I think George Bush Jr., George W. Bush, he showed up in like a comic. He had to like lick Magneto's boot or something like that. Like Magneto took control. I don't think the writers were happy with George W. at the time. You know, sure, he's like painting now, but the man's a war criminal. Look it up.
I mean,
Superman has met both like Bill and Hillary Clinton, and he also met JFK, though he wasn't faster than that speeding bullet. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I think I'm not completely sure, but I think he met JFK like after he was assassinated. It's weird.
That's kind of weird.
It's just kind of weird. And this is the weirdest one. Like Abraham Lincoln teamed up with Spider-Man and Captain America in like a comic book, which is very strange. The cover is great. Very weird.
Wow. Oh God, I need to read that one because that sounds like a great.
Very strange. I think this was like the height of like Abraham Lincoln vampire hunter fun times. This kind of thing. We were really having fun with Abraham Lincoln a few years ago. Superman saved Orson Welles once. That was very fun. Rodney Dangerfield took over for Tony Stark in the Iron Man suit, but it was just to like tell some jokes at like a thing. He didn't go around fighting. Kiss, the Knights in Satan's Service, the band Kiss, they've appeared in both Howard the Duck and Archie comics, so they've crossed.
That makes sense. Yes.
They've crossed like different comic boundaries. David Letterman interviewed the Avengers once, and this is the weirdest one. This one is very strange. Charles Barkley played basketball against Godzilla.
Okay, I thought you were gonna say Superman or something.
No, it was against Godzilla. And you might be thinking, oh, so Godzilla was small, right? No. Charles Barkley got like some weird magic silver dollar from a fan, and it made him huge.
Oh, okay. So
and
this
so
is
then
based
they play
on
basketball,
gotcha.
like in a then they play like giant size basketball, which I don't understand how Godzilla knew the rules of basketball. It's not fair to Godzilla. You know what I mean?
Seriously, like I like to think there was like an hour where Godzilla was explaining the rules of basketball.
Like,
Charles Barkley's explaining the rules
understand the rules of basketball. Like, you know, I'll be at a basketball game and they'll blow the whistle and be like, "That's a foul." I'm like, what? I don't know what happened. And I think Godzilla gets some like Nikes in the end or something, like giant shoes.
Oh, word?
Very strange.
Oh, damn.
So
I would love to see what size Godzilla wears in Nikes.
So yeah, those are like the weirdest. My favorite like kind of real world cameos in comic books. But go look them up. There's a ton of them.
Okay, I got another question for you, Doc. Here's another one. What other versions of Rick and Morty have we seen that don't look like the normal Rick and Morty? For example, Hammer Morty and all that stuff. And this is from IAJ Smith 24 on Discord. So thank you.
Yes. Thank you, IAJ Smith. So many, always asking good questions. And you know, you kind of laid it out, but we'll assume like a normal Rick and Morty is like the humanoid versions, which we mostly see like humanoid versions of them. But you know, since Rick and Morty has established like there's infinite, you know, universes with like infinite possibilities, any type of Rick and Morty you could imagine exists. But we have seen a few, but if you dream it, it's possible. You know what I mean?
Yes, kids. Remember that. If you dream it, you can
possible.
achieve it.
You can achieve it.
You could do so. You want him to do you so much you could do anything.
But here's some of our favorite like non-humanoid weird Rick and Mortys we've seen over the years. Of course, IAJ Smith pointed out Hammerhead Morty, which we saw in close Rick counters of the Rick kind. And that one too, we also saw Alien Rick and Morty, you know, just kind of like very green looking alien guys. You might remember from Rick Potion number 9, there's like the Cronenberg universe. So we had Cronenberg, Rick and Morty. And then Tales of the Citadel, we also saw Lizard Rick and Morty. You see Lizard Morty is one of the main guys of the kind of like Stand By Me storyline. But there is like a Lizard Rick like crawling in the background somewhere that you can find. And then Tales of the Citadel, we also saw like a fish version of Rick and Morty, or like a merman kind of version, aqua Rick and Morty. And then there's
Fishy Rick,
Fish Rick. And then the episode Edge of Tomorty, Rick Die, Rick Pete. Great name, great movie, great name.
I love that movie.
There's a few weird iterations we see in that one when he's kind of jumping into his different like clones, though most of them were fascist. You know, it's a problem. It happens a lot.
In the multiverse, apparently.
Yeah, it happens. We of course see like Wasp, Rick and Morty, and that horrifying scene where they eat the teacher alive, which is just like, and he's screaming for his babies, and they start eating his babies. It's terrible.
Oh,
we see like Teddy
rated G fun.
Rated G. We see like Teddy Bear Rick, who's like straight up fascist already, and then of course we see Shrimp Rick and Morty. Again, fascist.
The most important versions.
The most important and most delicious versions. So, and then if you go into like the Rick and Morty comics, there's like even more. There's like a cat Morty you see at some point, and like all sorts. And then there's like the Pocket Morty's mobile game, which has even like way weirder versions of Morty. You don't see different versions of Rick, but you see like all the weird Mortys, and you can assume that there's a Rick to match like Clockface Morty. There's probably a Clockface. I don't know how canon like the game is, but yeah, there's like a ton there. So we've seen some really cool ones, some weird ones, but we'll probably see a few more before the season's over, huh?
Yeah, I would imagine so. But like also, you mentioned the Rick and Morty comics. Anybody who loves Rick and Morty and does not read the Rick and Morty comics, you are missing out.
You like them?
On basically more seasons of Rick and Morty. Like, they are fantastically written comics. They're hilarious. It's literally like you're watching a storyboard of a Rick and Morty episode, but it's like fully drawn out. And like it's spot on 1-to-1. Like, it's fantastic.
When
so
you're
please,
reading it, do you do the voices in your head? Can you just
yes, like it's hard not to because it's so well written. It's such good shit. So anybody out there, please go read the Rick and Morty. Yeah, they're very, very funny. But yes, now it is time for one of my favorite segments of the show. It's the Box of Scraps.
The what? The Box of Scraps?
The box of scraps!
The Box of Scraps.
The Box of Scraps.
Sorry.
It's the Box of Scraps.
Okay, so today's Box of Scraps question is, if you had to go back in time and conquer any time period, where would you go and how would you conquer, Brandon?
That's a great question, MT. Well, I think, to make up for my, my horrible white ancestry, I would go back, to early Native American times, the indigenous people of North America, and I would help them fend off all these colonialists coming in and stuff. And, it'd be pretty easy because they were living hunting gatherers, like having a nice time. I would just bring a little bit of my modern knowledge in. Now, I'm not very smart, but I think I could give them a fefew heads up, like, hey, don't trade the blankets. Let's get some mold going. Let's get some penicillin out of that and fight off some of these diseases that are coming. Because, I don't know if you know this, MT, but like there's like evidence that just before the kind of colonialist came in the kind of 1600s that did the settling and really laid the groundwork, that there was a big period of die-off around the indigenous people from other kind of diseases that were going around. And that's why North America and the Americas hadn't been colonized before. Because like there's evidence that like the Vikings were showing up, way before like the Europeans came and the Spanish came and stuff. And they would show up and the Native Americans would just like fight them off and be like, you can trade with us, but you're not staying. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But by the time like, the Pilgrims start showing up, there had been this like massive die-off. So they didn't have the numbers to fight off people anymore. And so, the Europeans start showing up. They find these big empty areas that had been cleared out because the people who lived there were gone now. But they're like, oh, this is a great place to set up shop. And then the Native Americans were like, well, we've had some tough times. We need to do some trading and like build up our numbers. And then they got screwed. Okay.
Yeah.
So I'd be there to be like, hey guys, we got to keep these people out of here. I'm on your side. Because that was the other thing. Like these, the Pilgrims and the colonists would show up and like people would run away and join the Native Americans because they were living great lives, kicking it back, hunter gathering. The women had a lot of autonomy and power in there. And they hated being with the colonists. And the colonists would actually go grab these people and drag them back into like the areas because they were like, we need your help building a society. They're like, no, I want to go live with these people. They're having a great time. They know how to live with the land.
I'm just trying to eat berries, dog.
Yeah, I'm just trying to eat berries. We're smoking the peace pipe. We're having a good time.
Right. Have you heard of something called marijuana? It's pretty great.
Yeah, I don't know.
Get off me.
Have you ever heard of like Jonestown, where it was like this big mystery where this town, like all these colonists disappeared and they don't know what happened. A lot of people think that like they probably just ran off and they're like, Europe, screw England. We don't like the Dutch. We're out of here. We're joining the Native Americans. So that's where I would go. Totally rewrite history. And no more shopping malls. We're living with the land forever. TP's in Buffalo. It's gonna be great. It's gonna be great.
Hey man, that's a really good one.
Yeah, I'm gonna right some wrongs here. I'm gonna right some wrongs.
Hey, I appreciate it. All of us brown folks would appreciate if you went back in time and gave Christopher Columbus a wedgie.
Oh,
that would be really
kick
great.
His ass, dude. Screw that guy. Screw that guy.
Honestly, straight up.
What a monster.
Terrible person.
Terrible
monstrous
person.
Man.
Ugh.
Yeah, I would conquer ancient Rome. Yeah, if I went back in time, I would conquer ancient Rome just so I could stop the whole gladiator thing. Because looking back, that's terrible. Like, they made people fight to the death.
Yeah.
It's just really terrible. But like ancient Rome, that's like a really good time to come in and take over a whole empire. I'm saying that was a huge empire that was assembled. So if I just came in with my iPhone and be like, hey, check out my future technology and like have my knowledge of like, I don't know, vaccines and sicknesses, even though I wouldn't know.
I mean, there's no internet to connect to, MT. You got
this
to
is
download.
true.
Also, when that battery dies, it's gonna be tough.
It's like I need to come back. I need to Google something because I want to go to 2021 and Google something and then come back.
I think if you know, it's not like you're instantly transported. If you know you're gonna go back in time, you study up a little bit. Maybe you take a couple years. You'll learn a little Roman history. Learn about the problems. Like,
I just need to play Assassin's Creed.
Play some Assassin's Creed. Beat Ezio. Know which rooftops you got to jump on.
Exactly.
You'll be fine.
I'm bringing my copy of Assassin's Creed to the Roman times, and I'm gonna play it right in front of their faces. And they're gonna be like, "Oh my god, he's a wizard!"
A solar generator, maybe a solar generator too. Right?
Exactly. One of those, because that would definitely help me with my Wi-Fi problems, for sure. So I would choose ancient Rome.
I like it.
But that is it for this episode of Big Question. I want to thank off-screen producer Brandon for joining me this episode, as like he is fantastic. Show him some love in the comics and follow him at Grin and Barrick on Twitter if you want to see what he's up to on the interwebs.
Not
you can
much.
Follow me.
Not too much.
Follow him anyway because he's amazing and we all love Brandon. We love you, Brandon.
I love you, MT. This has been so much fun.
You can follow me at MasterTainment if you want to see me tweet some weird shit. But most importantly, subscribe to New Rockstars here on YouTube and make sure to hit that notification bell so you get notifications whenever we upload dope shit, which is pretty much every day. So thank you guys so much for watching and we'll see you guys next time.
Bye.
Goodbye.